Hello everybody, welcome back to Honestly Rated, and today we're talking about your electric amphibian friend, Zap, or Reptile, I don't really know the difference. Zap is someone I never really took a thought to, in my opinion. I didn't even know that I owned only the Giants version until I actually looked to make this video. Now you may ask me, why am I doing Zap? Such a weird pick. Since again, he's not very heavily talked about or remembered in my opinion. I feel like his counterpart in my opinion, Camo, shines a lot more than Zap does, especially with when it comes to reposes, because in my opinion the repose sucks. But the reason I'm doing this today is because someone in the comments so dearly wants me to do something with Zap, and with this new series starting up, I thought this would be a perfect way to talk about this blue little guy, the guy that sounds like he has constant water in his mouth. So, without further ado, let's start off with his first beginning moves. The first two moves in his arsenal is Lightning Breath and Sea Slime Slide. Jeez, try to say that 3 times fast. But Lightning Breath is a simple projectile move that you do have to spam with like a little bit of an overload at 3. It only hits one enemy. Later on, you can upgrade it to hit 2, like mine is doing. But it's fairly nice. Sea Slime Slime is also just a very nice getaway tool. Nothing crazy there, though. Speaking about Seaside Slime, Electro Slime is the next move that you're able to buy. This allows you to shoot your slime and make this wall of electricity. It makes Seaside Slime a lot better. The Seaside Slime ain't the worst thing by itself. Again, it slows enemies down, but when it's like just like a little puddle, it isn't really doing that much in my opinion. So giving it some damage, just 8 damage, isn't crazy, but a little bit of chip and keeping him still to not get to you is a lot more beneficial than just slowing him down just a teeny little bit. The next two things is Stay a While, Mega Volt, which just kind of increase electricity, deal damage. But then Wave Rider is something that's very cool. So Wave Rider is something you're able to, one, actually just ride on the wave, pushes enemies back. But in my opinion, the way you want to use this is just to launch them. You can just press the button and you'll launch the enemy away. And the reason you kind of want to do this because Zap is more of a stay away character. He doesn't really like to be in people's faces. He gets very overwhelmed very fast just because of the things he has. This also has a bit of a build up. So being able to just push enemies away, build your little gate of electricity, and then just fire away as enemies are trying to get closer to you is probably his best strategy he has. So this is a very useful thing in his kit, in my opinion. I won't lie to you, Zap's top path is pretty boring. It allows him to bounce electricity off of enemies and walls, and then the other two are just about dealing more damage with the tidal wave and just his normal zap, which is very boring. It's very sad that these beginning Skylanders usually had this kind of flaw where a lot of their attacks didn't really do anything special, didn't add anything new. It just kind of increased damage and they just called it done. So the top, not my personal favorite. That's the one I picked when I was a child, but looking back now and trying out both sides, it's very obvious to at least my degree that the top path is very boring and it doesn't help as much as the bottom path would. Time for the bottom path. The bottom path lets your slime do more damage when electrified and also create more sea slime, which again kind of lacks that creativity that like future Skylanders do. Jesus. But the middle one is probably the best one where your slime is instantly going to have that electricity power in it. This is miles better than just having the inky dinky, maybe your bullets will bounce off of walls and hit another enemy. But the problem with that is that it usually only does it to 2 enemies, so hit one, hit the next, done. It doesn't bounce enough. It doesn't have enough, boings. So it feels kind of useless in that sense. You would rather have the slime where if you run away, your enemies are just going to they're going to be in a total standstill mode. They can't do anything to you. They're slowly taking damage, which I think is a lot more beneficial than just, again, hitting 2 stinky dinks of damage. Because Zap doesn't do a lot of damage. And that's primarily because he's one of the beginning Skylanders, and their power ratio to newer Skylanders is super fucking bad. I wish they did better on trying to balance out some of the Skylanders from the old games and make them do a little bit more of an updated damage calc, but I don't think they really did. So Zap being pretty weak kind of needs this kind of something to cheese the enemies out a little bit, especially with his tidal wave. That's another reason why I like it. It's just some cheese to help a Skylander that sadly doesn't have the greatest base stats. We'll go look at the Soul Gems, which actually aren't too bad in my opinion. Well, the first one is. Sab Soul Gym lets you regenerate in water, which is false. It lets you regenerate in elemental zones of water. The reason it says this is because in the older games, you actually were able to go in the water. It used to be like a little swimming thing. I can vividly remember that using Zap to do that type of stuff. And you used to be able to heal in there. A lot of the first couple characters in Skylanders used to do that. But now, since that's not a thing, they resort to elemental zones, which isn't the worst. It only gives you 20 HP, but it's very, very limited in when you can use it. Time for the Wild Pal. But before we actually talk about the move, I would like to say why it's called for Riley, because maybe not a lot of people know. Maybe a lot of people do know. But there was a 4-year-old boy named Riley Von Zyl. I'm hoping I said that right. He passed away to a rare form of cancer. And he was a Skylander fan. They knew it. And his favorite character was Zap. So when it came to making his Wild Pal, they decided to commemorate him and keep him in memory with this move. And luckily, this move is also very good. So Riley didn't get the short end of the stick on this. This move allows you to just do a big splash and it knocks enemies up and does very good damage. Especially for, again, being a character that's pretty weak since it's one of those older characters. But I think better than just the move itself is just that sweet knowing that they decided to do that. I don't know how they got the information. I don't know how they knew, but it's very nice seeing developers do this type of things for people who have passed or fans that have passed that show passion like this. It's very nice to see it. And with that, I have to. The move is probably his best move because of it, just because of the meaning behind it. And rest in peace to the kid too. But let's go for the overall view for this. With everything in mind of everything else, from the whole video, I have to give Zap a 3. 3 is pretty mid. Okay, mid makes it sound a lot worse. He's very average. I could use this character in a Nightmare playthrough and be perfectly fine with it. I could play with him and be like, yeah, this is pretty fun. There's nothing bad here. I just think he kind of relies on having to go for that bottom path, in my opinion. You could probably make the top path work. I just think it wouldn't be as fun. And having to turn around and shoot your slime and then running away a lot isn't really the playstyle I like to play. But to each their own. I don't think he's a bad character, nor do I think he's a crazy phenomenal one. So that's where my 3 kind of lies. But I will also give him a 4 if I can put a little bit more bias into it. And the reason is that is for the Riley thing that they did for that person. It's, again, something I personally love to see developers and game devs do because it puts a lot more emotion into the game and it puts your company and game in a nice light. It's a very positive thing to do. There's literally no harm in it. And again, it honors somebody whose life sadly had to go away to something traumatic like that. So I don't hate Zap. I don't think he's the craziest, but I do find him funny. You can't really hate the guy that sounds like he's drowning half the time. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Tell me a character you want to see me rate honestly. And if you think I should add a little bit more to here, maybe some more facts, anything like that, just tell me and I'll try to sneak more stuff in here. But I love doing these videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a great day, have a great week, have a great month, have a great millennia, have a great decade, whatever day it is. Just make it great. And thank you for watching. Peace.